Do you think that it is important to be right in a relationship? I feel that a lot of people actually got caught up in a lot of arguments about who's right, who's wrong in a relationship. Have you ever been into such a situation? I heard a lot from my clients, from my friends, who really got really caught up every time in an argument is really about who's right, who's wrong. And to me, today I want to talk about what is the drive behind all of this and how do we get out of this? Because that is really unhealthy. If you really understand why are we so driven to get, I would say to get, but more to be right in a relationship, a lot of time if you really understand the psychology behind the wanting to be right, it's not the main thing. It's a lot to do with wanting to be loved or wanting to be approved, wanting to be accepted, wanting to be acknowledged. So that drive the conversation or the arguments to one thing, to get the approval, to validate your point of view, to approve of your ideas, to approve of your statement, to approve of your doing. So the bottom line is you want to be approved because you want to be accepted, you want to be loved, you want to be cared for. And that is very much to do with our inner desire of wanting to be cared for, wanting to be attended to, wanting to feel important, wanting to be loved. That's a lot of time in a relationship, people always caught up in the situations of arguments of who's right or who's wrong, because the underlying the drive is really not about who's right or who's wrong. But underlying is if you invalidate my point, then it means you wouldn't approve of my point, you wouldn't approve of me, you wouldn't approve of my action. It means I'm not being loved. That is so important that I need to fight in the conversation, to fight for my my right to be happy, my right to be loved. So that's the other person also wanting to fight for his or her own right to be happy, to be approved, to be accepted. That's the argument where I end up nowhere, because everybody has a right to be happy, but we have been dependent so much on the other person to provide us with that validation, to provide us with that approval, that attention given by them. So if I depend on you to validate my point of view, my actions, then it means I get love from you, I get care from you. And that other person also wishes the same thing. The other person also wishes you to give the care, the love, the approval. Then if both wanting it at the same time, that's when the argument gets stuck, endless loop. Then I'm trying to prove my point is correct, you're trying to prove your point is correct. So end up, we are not getting anywhere. But if we can pause for a while and understand that at the end of the day, we all love each other, we all want to be loved as well, then we may be able to consciously pause the conversation for a while and really take a step back. And maybe just at the moment, just play, and maybe one person has to play and just a listening role while the other person is talking, understanding from the other person's point of view. And then everybody take turn to be a listener, to be a sharer. I know it's not that easy. A lot of times this may need a mediator in between. Sometimes it get really worse. But if you are the conscious one, I think you can take a step back for a while and allow yourself to be a listener for a while and listening from the point of view of what the person wants from you. Not so much about whether it is right or it is wrong. Understanding the intention behind that person, a lot of times just wanting your care, wanting your love. And maybe he's showing his care or his love in his own way. And I feel with that, then we need not end up in this spiral down conversation all the time, always fighting who is right and who is wrong. But that really void the purpose of having a healthy and good relationship in the first place. I always ask people, what is more important? Is happiness and harmony in a relationship more important, or being right is more important? I believe we all believe that being happy and being harmonious is important, but we always end up mindlessly get caught up in such an argument in a relationship of who's right and who's wrong. I feel it's really important to really understand the psychology behind and be able to take a step back for a while and be able to pause, be able to digest, be able to listen, be able to understand the intention of the other person. And somebody have to take the active role to do that first. Someone as conscious as you right now listening to this, to be able to take the first step. If we always wanting other person to take the first step, then nobody's going to take the first step. So I feel someone conscious has to do it first. And then that conversation eventually will become more wholesome, more healthier, and become more hopeful. And it will create more harmony and balance at the end of the day.